In the previous videos, I showed you how you can go both up and downwards with the blanket stitch, making it possible to work in any direction. Perhaps you prefer to have the fabric a little bit askew. That's okay too, but you can work a line of blanket stitch in both directions. And that gives the possibility for a fun variation that I would like to show you. And for this one, I'm going to use my hoop. And I'm going to make a line just about here. Here. Place the hoop. Tighten the screw. And let's do this with brown thread. Threading my needle. And making a knot. So, well, I'm going to do this line about here, and I'm going to start at the top of that line. And we have done things like this before with the spokes, the horizontal parts of the stitch growing longer and then diminishing again. So I'm first going to make a rather small stitch. A slightly bigger one. Growing a bit more. And a little bit more yet. So I've made 4 stitches growing in length, and now I'm diminishing again. So the next stitch will be just about this length. A little bit smaller. And I'm back to the small stitch that I used at the beginning. Now I'm going to turn my hoop upside down. And I'm going to continue this line, but now I will work upwards. So this is a very good exercise in changing your direction, working from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top. And I'm going to do exactly the same. Smaller stitches growing to big one here in the middle and then diminishing again. Now let's see the fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4 was the biggest. So after that, I'm going to make them smaller again. And I try to make them around the same width. And then the smallest one. And you can perhaps guess what I'm doing now. I'm again turning my hoop. Line isn't completely straight. If you want a really straight line, if I would have wanted that, I should have drawn it with a pencil, but I'll continue best I can. A pencil or a fabric marker. If you use an erasable fabric marker, try it first on your fabric in a little corner to see if indeed on your fabric it is erased after some time and erased completely. I say this because I have used erasable fabric markers on eco-dyed fabric and sometimes they did not erase completely. Apparently there was some reaction with the dye. But you can also use a chalk pencil, for instance. 1, 2, 3. This was the biggest, diminishing again. Smaller. And the smallest one. And turning it again and again, working upwards. And then the thread is also upwards. And I'm making the first small stitch. I must say that I don't know how it is for you, but working downward from the bottom, for the top to the bottom, is my favorite direction. But with some practice, this direction, working upwards, is going just fine. And as you can see, you get a different kind of variation with changing the directions and changing the stitches. And that can be a starting point for other things. And the last one. It could be a starting point, for instance, for this, that you put another line of blanket stitches opposite it with the spokes gripping each other like with a zipper. Or you could do another, you could start a wavy line here, for instance, close this up with the back stitch and use that as a starting point for other things. It leaves a lot of other possibilities. And this can be done in exactly the same idea in a different way too, and I'm going to show you that. But first, let's end this thread, making a knot and then tucking the tail under a couple of stitches and cutting my threads. But this isn't a very long thread anymore. I still had quite a bit of this purple left, so I'll take this thread to show you how you can do this in the same way, but a little bit different with a different effect. And I think I'm going to do that here, and then this part of the fabric will be left over for other samples. So I'll replace my hoop. Tighten the fabric. And then tighten the screw. And I still need a knot in my threads. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing, but in this case, the line that will stay the same is the line on the right side of my stitches. And the line of the vertical stitches on the left side, that's the one that's going to curve. So again, I'm making a small stitch, but I start that stitch at the line where I came up. And make the stitches grow bigger. And then this will be my fourth stitch, because this is just the beginning. And now I'm diminishing again. And the last smaller stitch. And like I did before, I'm going to turn my hoop and I'm going to work upwards. And the first stitch I'm going to make in about the same width as the last one, just a little bit higher, and of course in another direction. So a small stitch here, and that also means that the thread in between these two stitches is diagonal. And now I'm going to let the stitches grow again, a little bit bigger. And the biggest one. And now growing smaller again. One, two, three, four. I think I have to make a smaller one yet. And flip my hoop again. And now I'll make again a small stitch just below that last stitch, but with the thread, of course, on the other side. And growing smaller again. And I'll see, I haven't got that much thread anymore, but I'll flip it, turn my hoop again one last time, make a small stitch, just same width, just above the last one. And letting the stitches grow on this side. I think I'll have to go start diminishing one stitch sooner, or else I won't make it with my thread. This is going to be tight. And then for the last, for going down, I go down following this line. And with a little bit of difficulty, I can end my thread here. So as you can see, the same idea by turning your hoop and letting the stitches grow longer and shorter, but which is the line that you keep straight, in this case the line of the vertical stitches, and in this case the line of the horizontal stitches. And you see that gives a totally different effect, and both effects can be used as a stitch in itself or as a starting point for further stitches. This one, I must say, makes me think a little bit of DNA.